Hi, welcome to enlightenHer's YouTube channel. I'm Heather Hetchler, and today I'm joined with Halle Bargo, and we are having a conversation that will pique your interest. We're going to talk about what getting ahead in your 20s actually requires. And here's a hint, it's not hustle or luck. So Halle, I would love it if you would share with us maybe what's a mindset and a practical tip that you would share that's helping you in your 20s get to a more financial secure place down the road.
Number one is to figure out what you really value in life and what you want to spend your money on. Something that I do is I use Ally Bank high yield savings account, and that's an online bank, and they have a bucketing system which is really nice. I have it go where it takes a certain amount of money from my paycheck every month and it goes right into those certain buckets. So I'm saving for what I want every month without having to do effort of it. Set it up once and then it's saving for you for what you really want, and then it's more about making do with what's left over instead of having all of it the whole time and then sort of trying to align your spending. I think it's harder that way. And you might think you're spending in the right way, but you don't really have the right system. So I think just setting up the systems, but starting with knowing what you really want to spend your life on.
That's a great piece of advice. So really just being aware and being honest with yourself, this is where I want to see my money go. And then Ally Bank is a great resource because you can visually see your money grow in those buckets, right? And if you had an emergency or something, you could transfer money into a different bucket, correct?
Yeah, and I do have an emergency fund that I don't touch that's in there. Some people have like a completely separate account if there's someone who's gonna dip into that. I don't really do that, so I don't have to, but like I don't touch that, and that's also getting money put into every month.
I love that. It is a higher interest yield than your typical bank account. So your money is making more when you put it into a bank like that. So you're identifying what works and then you're putting your money towards that. And that's how you can see the progress month to month. And then you pay yourself first, basically. You put your money away and then you learn and you live your life based on what you have allocated for your day-to-day spending.
Yep, exactly.
And I know that I am decades past my 20s. And I didn't really think necessarily with that type of mindset when I was younger, but I knew one thing. I am a first-gen college student, and it was really important for me to help my children if they wanted to go to college to graduate debt-free. I had to take out student loans when I was going through college. And so early on, I set up 529 plans for all my kids when they were born, and I allocated a certain amount of money a year. And so when we would do vacations or it was birthdays, we would pack lunches and we would stop at parks to eat. I would shop sales. I wanted to put money in every quarter to their 529 plan. That was a priority for me. And now I am very grateful to say too that my youngest is graduating in May and all of my kids will graduate debt-free. So it is possible. And I do want to say too, it is not because I saved $250,000 per kid. It's not nearly that. But I did save, and then you can give to your kid and say, here's what I've saved. You can do it what you want to go to a school where it's really expensive, you're going to have to take out a loan. But if you want to apply for scholarships and grants, do work study, you can do that. And so I think it is, you have to identify where you want your money to go. And I will be honest, I probably could have just spent that money going out to dinner, buying some more high-end gifts, but I was diligent about saving it, and then that money grew, and then it had a purpose long term.
That's a wonderful gift to give to your children. I feel like that's such a relief. So many of us are so much debt. I don't know, for me, when I was in high school, I didn't totally understand the value of how much something cost, or realize kind of like, you know the number, but you don't really feel it yet.
Yes, you don't.
So that is just really awesome.
It's that intentionality planning. So what's another tip or mindset shift that you think you have that has helped you or is helping you put some money away or spend it in a way that aligns with your values?
I think for me, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but getting excited about my goals helps me be more disciplined with my day-to-day. It honestly doesn't feel super hard, like knowing like I want to do these things later in my life, or I'm saving for this, and then I can look into my Ally Bank and be like excited that my money is growing and just feeling good about making little switches and knowing that it's making a difference because I have like the long-term goal in mind. I think a lot of young people, it's hard to see that. Like, I don't think if I didn't have my dad talking about it so much, I would just not have such an emphasis on retirement. Like, no one at my age is thinking so much about like retirement, but it is important because then it makes me feel good. Like, I'm thinking about how I will have like ease and peace when I'm older.
Yes.
Which like I want.
Yes.
Everyone wants.
Yeah. And I love what you're sharing. And as somebody who is past that, like the future you, but now I'm in a position too where my husband and I can take a vacation and just pay for it. And we don't have to stress about the money because we saved, because we allocated those funds. But I touched on something that you're doing, and this was something that I did as well, is you're focused on your goals, not comparing yourself to what your peers are doing. And I think making financial decisions for yourself and your future instead of worrying about how it looks. And when I was growing up, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have social media, but we still had the pressure to keep up with the Joneses. And so I can remember too, my kids asking, well, how come we don't take big spring breaks? Or why don't we do this? Now as adults, they understand. They could have easily spent their college fund taking them to Disney or going on a big vacation. It would have been great, and those would have been great memories, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in my season of life, I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
I couldn't do both.
Couldn't do both. Yeah.
So I chose to allocate to their college funds versus the vacations at the time. But you also have to be, if you're a parent or you're helping others, you have to be okay with people not understanding your financial decisions. You have to be okay with people not agreeing with you, or you have to be okay with not always being able to take all the vacations or going out to eat all the time, because you have to be focused on what's right for you and your future.
You don't know how people are spending or saving their money.
It goes back to that values-based, and I think making decisions that are right for you, because you can do all the things in the moment, but that's going to affect your future long-term security. And so making some of these decisions in the now is really helpful. I know something else I remember doing, I didn't make the best decision getting my first car, and I didn't really know what I was doing. But I remember after I paid that car off, I was so excited, and I said, you know what, I am used to living without X amount of money every month. So I could easily take that money and go out to dinner or buy myself a new pair of boots. I'm gonna have that money go into an account. And then when that car died, enough to get another car. And had I not, and I buy used cars usually, but I had enough saved, and I was used to living without that money.
Yeah.
And that was a really smart decision that I made, to just keep putting that money away instead of saying, you know what, I paid off my car, I deserve to have that extra X amount of money, and I can go and do this. But sometimes making decisions for your future self is more important than satisfying the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you said that. It's such a good tip, because I was talking with Milena, and she had me, before my student loans kicked in, she was like, well, put in that same amount that you would be putting in your emergency fund. So one, you're giving your money self, you're saving something for you and your security, but also the time that comes in and you have to switch which bucket it goes into, you're used to it.
Yep. Company that has a 401k, that you max out your contributions, and that you learn to live on what you bring home versus all of the money that you could bring home. Because that money is growing for you, especially if the company is matching it.
Say 10 to 20 is really good. I have to check with mine. Yep, okay, she gave me a thumbs up. Yes.
Yeah, and that's because, you sure, could you maybe go out to dinner one more time a week or something like that, but you're also having that self-discipline, and you're enjoying those moments when you can go out. Oftentimes we treat ourselves so that we can feel good. What if we reframed it and we felt good about pouring into our future self? And like, I am saving money for my future self. Myself, like at 50, is gonna look back and thank 25-year-old Halle and say, thank you for saving. Thank you for not taking every trip. Thank you for not going out to eat all the time, because I can sleep at night knowing that I don't have debt, that my house is paid off, that I can take vacations. And so it's not even, I feel like sacrifice has become a dirty word, but learning to have self-discipline and allocate your funds to where your values are right now and where you want to be in the future is so important.
For me, at least, because right now I don't have a lot of financial responsibilities, besides rent and things like that, but I don't have kids. It doesn't feel like a huge sacrifice. I have the system set up, and then I'm like, ooh, I get to spend money on this thing that I saved up for and not feel bad about it. And maybe it's because I don't have the expectation that I can just buy anything I want, what life is. Yeah. So I don't know if it's different depending on you're up or anything. But if you've been financially aware, sometimes it can just improve it because it feels like you can spend the money on things you want to because you did it in a way that was smart, thinking for yourself. It might feel different, but I don't think it necessarily feels like this terrible, tight, some sad life. You know what I mean?
But you have a great mindset. You see it as empowering your future self instead of depriving your present. And that is so important. And I think even as you and I are having this conversation, and we clearly have this age gap, I think it's important for younger women to talk to the older women in their lives and ask them, what are some things you wish you would have done different? What are some things that you did right? And to pass on that wisdom. And for older women to be able to have those conversations and to say, you know what, I made these decisions in my youth that have really paid off, and I made some decisions that I would never want you to replicate because I had to learn the hard way. And being able to share that wisdom and have those conversations. In enlightenHer, we talk about money and we talk about these conversations, and we don't see that a lot anywhere. Online, people talk about their relationships, their weight, their clothing, their fashion, their travels, but they don't talk about their money. And we're not here to talk about your bank account. I don't want to know your dollar and cents, but I do want to know what your mindset is. I do want to know about how you think about money. And we really need to normalize having these conversations so that women can get more comfortable around finances and get the knowledge that they need to make really wise decisions.
Yeah, I think it's so important, and talking between generations is nice because then you can see, and I feel like sometimes not like warned, but also kind of warned us of things, but also it's nice to see, oh, this decision I'm making now worked out for you. Know that it does pay off when you get to that point.
You know what, and sometimes you have to be like, I know that sometimes my kids did not understand why we didn't do certain things growing up, or why they didn't always have the latest fashion or shoes and things like that. And I had to be okay with disappointing them sometimes, knowing that when they became adults, they would understand and appreciate it. And it is so interesting having conversations with them now. And I'm so proud of my kids and how they're navigating finances. In fact, I had a conversation with one of my sons recently, and he was telling me how some of his friends are doing trips and things. And he's like, you know what? I'm not doing them because it would be great and it would be fun, but I am allocating my funds elsewhere to my future self. And so I'm choosing not to go. And I thought, how mature that he's doing that, because he's like, you know what, that weekend's gonna be over. That weekend's gonna be done. That dinner's gonna be done. But the money I'm putting away is growing and is gonna be my reward when I'm older.
Yeah, and it's all a balance. Still feel like I do plenty of fun things. I have a travel bucket. That's really important to me, or I have a certain bucket. So it's like, you don't feel like you have to miss out on everything either.
No. And that's even a thing for holidays. We talked to, like, you know what, maybe I'll get you a gift card to Southwest. I have friends that travel, I know you would like to, but I actually want to reward the fact that you're making good financial decisions. This might be a way to gift you a fund for travel.
Yeah, that's smart.
And so I was like, you don't know those things unless we have the conversations.
Yeah.
And something I learned from you that I wanted to share too was, I learned a lot from you. I know that I sometimes got into a habit of ordering from my phone because of all the apps. Right? It's so easy to be in the checkout line waiting to pick up my kids from school, and oh, Amazon has this on thing, and days later I have this new whatever that I probably don't need at my doorstep. And so removing those apps from my phone, and so it's not that I can't buy it, but now I have to take more effort to buy it.
Yes.
Which has cut down dramatically on impulse, purchases like that. And so it's those small little changes that can yield big results. And so I don't even think I realize sometimes how, because I was always been ordering some things for the household, the kids, and things we did need, but it was just way too easy. So deleting those has made a huge, I love it. And keeping track of what you could have spent that you didn't spend. See how that adds up.
I think That's a really smart one that I need to re-enlist in my life.
Well, we learn from each other, and I appreciate you being here. And if this episode resonated with you, we would really ask you to like and subscribe to our channel, to share it with other women in your life. It's so important that we start to have these money conversations and normalize talking about money, how we look at money, how we view money, and what our relationship with money is. So I want to thank Halle for being here today, and thank you for tuning in. And we would love to hear your comments, suggestions for other episodes. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.